Hello, dear students. Let us begin our topic of magnetization curve and the which is also known as the BH curve, and we will be seeing something about the electromagnetic materials that we were discussing up till now. So up till now we have discussed that we are having a core like this, and it may be a circular one or like this, and there may be some air gap or other things. Also there may be something which is also said as leakage factor. Now we are considering over here a core, okay, which is a ferromagnetic material, and it is the flux is being developed through a source that is also known as the MMF. So we are having n number of coils, n number of turns over here, okay, and current I is flowing through this coil. Okay, now most of the times the this n or the number of turns are constant. So in order to increase the flux, what we do is we increase the current that is flowing through this coil. Okay, so we can say that there is certain relationship between this current and this flux that is being developed inside the core, and that is what we are going to discuss today. Now, before coming to the graph or the curve, let us see over here or recall that the flux is proportional to flux per unit area, because the area, see over here, the area is constant over the whole path, or the area, the average area of the whole system over here has not changed. Okay, what I'm changing is only the current. So if flux is something, then flux per unit area will be proportional to the flux, because area is constant. Okay, now the length of this path or the magnetic length is also constant. So if I am just varying the current, you may consider capital I or a small I, then this will lead to a constant MMF or the source, which is equal to Ni. N is constant. Ni by L, again it is L is constant and N is also constant. So we can say that at H is proportional to I, okay, and B is proportional to flux. So the BH curve over here, if you see over here, is the relationship between the flux density B, magnetic flux density B, which is in Tesla, and the magnetic field intensity, which is equal to ampere turns per meter, whose unit is ampere turns per meter or ampere per meter. And the similar curve we will achieve if we plot it between the flux, which is in Weber, and the current. Of which current I am talking about? The current that is flowing through this coil. So if we increase the flux, of course if we increase the current, the flux will increase. And this is more practical thing, right? Because the flux is of course observable and current is also observable thing. So the flux will increase with the current, and in point form, or we can say in microscopic form, we can say that the magnetic field intensity, with the increase in magnetic field intensity, the magnetic flux density will increase or will vary basically. So the variation over here, if you see, is not purely linear, right? So what is happening, we will see later on, a bit later on, when we will discuss. First of all, we will discuss about the materials, then we will go on to that part. So basically now here we see that graph between the flux density B and field intensity H of a magnetic material is called the magnetization curve or the BH curve. Okay, now, and one more thing over here is that B by H is the ratio that is known as the permeability. And what about the flux? Here's a question: what is the flux per unit per current? This thing is known as inductance. Basically, at a particular current, what flux is going to be generated inside the core will be known as the ratio between the flux and this current will be known as the inductance. We will be coming to this part later on because we will be discussing about what you say the transformers and mutual inductance and what is known as the self inductance. Now coming to the magnetic materials. Now this curve that you see over here is the curve for a ferromagnetic material. As we change the material, for example, if we take air, okay, air will be a absolutely linear curve. The magnetic flux density inside the air will increase with the increase in magnetic field intensity, and will go on as we increase its strength. This strength will also increase. Okay, but the permeability will be very low. Of course, if you see this zone and this linear zone over here the permeability is high, here the permeability is low. So let us discuss about the magnetic materials. Our special case is the ferromagnetic materials. What are the other magnetic materials? All the materials that are available to us can be classified either as diamagnetic or paramagnetic or ferromagnetic or ferrimagnetic or anti-ferromagnetic. What are diamagnetic materials? Before this, let me check if the video is being created or not. Yes, it is being created. So coming back to this discussion, so diamagnetic material are those materials in which if we put this material inside the magnetic field, I'm just talking in a rough manner, if we just put this material inside an external magnetic field, the magnetic domains, which we will discuss later on in this discussion, or the atoms will not align or very weakly align in the opposite direction to the magnetic field. In paramagnetic materials, the atoms will align along the magnetic field in the positive direction, but with very less strength. So, and in ferromagnetic material, what will happen is that this we'll discuss later on in this discussion. And ferrimagnetic and antiferromagnetic, all these materials will be discussed in a course for electrical engineers, that is known as electrical engineering materials, and there they will be studying in detail about these materials. So the special cases for ferromagnetic materials can be ferrites, materials for permanent magnets, and the material that we generally use. If you have seen any transformer, you must have seen that there are certain stampings. ऐसे आपको लगेगा कि जैसे लकीरें सी लगी हुई हैं, ठीक है? तो I mean to say, if I just draw a bit over here, if you have ever seen the transformer, a small transformer, actually I'm not having camera right now, so let me show you this. You can just wait for a minute. Let me turn on the camera for you guys, and then we will see. Not activating. Let me. Reconfigure video. Activate. Okay. See over here. Okay, let me show you one thing. 1 minute. Pardon me for all this delay, no problem, but I'm sitting right now in a lab. Let me turn off the lights, backlights, as it will not. So students, if you are seeing over here, this is a transformer basically, right? So if you see over here, let me bring it like this. So if you see, I will bring it more closer. See over here, these are certain lines. If you see, right, this is basically the core. This is basically the inductor that I am talking about. Okay, these are two terminals that are coming out of it, and of course there will be winding inside it, and this part over here is making the core that I am drawing in the rectangular form. Okay, so if you see over here, this thing over here is a ferromagnetic material. Okay, now these are normal ferromagnetic materials. These are normal ferromagnetic materials, and there are other portions, or sorry, there are other materials that are known as ferrites, and they are smaller in size, and they are a special type of ferromagnetic materials. Then we have materials that we use for permanent magnets also. Now coming, because of course this will take a lot of time, so we will not go into much detail about this. Now what about the ferromagnetic material that we are going to use? Let us begin with the the smallest particle, that is the atom. So atoms are having nucleus and electrons revolve around them, right? So the electrons that are revolving around are also spinning on their own axis. So the spinning leads to spin magnetic field, because any particle, any charged particle which is in motion will lead to a magnetic field. So there will be a spin magnetic field because of its rotation on its axis, and because the electron is revolving around the nucleus, it will have its orbital magnetic field. For individual atom, these fields are very small, of course, because the atom is small, the charge is very small, so the magnetic field will be very small. And each atom basically, so if you see over here, electron is moving in this direction, for example, the current we can say is in the opposite direction, because you know that. And if we just use the right hand thumb rule, the magnetic field will be in the downward direction. So the dipole will be basically, the north will be on this side, the south will be on this side, and each atom will behave as a dipole. So in these materials especially the behavior of ferromagnetic material, why they are behaving like this, is much more understandable if we know the quantum physics, and we are not going into that much detail. So what happens is, each atoms, neighboring atoms, they form a domain. There is an appreciable interaction between these dipoles, and they form a neighborhood. They form their own colony type of thing, and that thing is basically known as domain. So there are several domains. These are larger sizes, but the material is can be divided into very small domains, and each domain will be carrying around 10 to the power 9 to 10 to the power 15 atoms, or if it is a compound, then molecules. So the domains are randomly aligned. Okay, when there is no external field is applied, so they will be randomly aligned, but each atom will be aligned in the same direction in each domain. Now when we apply an external field, what will happen is, they will try to align according to the external magnetic field, and once we go on increasing the magnetic field, these will go on aligning accordingly. Okay, and what will happen is, a time will come, a magnetic field flux density will come, when this will reach its saturation, when all the domains will be aligned in the similar direction. And if you see over here, internally there will be the magnetic field that we have applied from outside, and the internal magnetic field because of their internal dipoles, which have now aligned in one direction, and the total magnetic field will become very larger than the external magnetic field, right? The examples of ferromagnetic materials are nickel, cobalt, iron and their alloys. Okay, and there are still new compounds that are coming into picture. Now coming back to, because we have discussed about the ferromagnetic material, how they are behaving, how they are their domains are aligning with the increase in flux or flux density from the outside, so, or magnetic field from the outside. So how this behavior can be aligned with our discussion. So I have copied this graph over here. Now initially the domains are randomly aligned and can be considered as magnetically neutral. Okay, and the growth of the magnetic field in this zone is reversible. इस जोन की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, इस जोन को अगर मैं मैग्नीफाई करूँ, it will be like this, somewhat like this. Okay, और इस जोन में क्या होगा कि अगर मैंने कुछ मैग्नेटिक फ्लक्स फील्ड इंटेंसिटी दी है या करंट दिया है, थोड़ा सा करंट दिया, उसकी वजह से थोड़ा सा फ्लक्स डेवलप हुआ, तो जितनी भी अलाइनमेंट हुआ है डोमेन्स का इस फ्लक्स के जरिए से, वो रिवर्सिबल होगा. द डोमेन्स कैन go back to their original position. Okay, and the flux inside the material will again become zero. But from this region to this region, from A to B, the domains continuously go on aligning. Okay, the alignment will go on increasing with the increase in H. Okay, and this increment will be in a linear manner, and we try to operate our device in this region only, in the linear zone. Now this point is known as the knee of this magnetizing curve, because what happens is beyond this the alignment is going to be fully aligned, right? We can say the domains are going to be fully aligned with the increment in the H. Now further increase in the current will not lead to any further alignment. Okay, so we cannot increase the flux inside the magnetic material beyond this particular value. ठीक है, तो हमारे जो मटेरियल की क्षमता है एक तरीके से अगर हम समझेंगे, दैट विल बी दिस रीजन ओनली. ओके, so we don't want to go into the knee after beyond the knee zone. Okay, what we want to operate our device like transformers, relays, etc. to operate inside this zone only. Okay, so here I will just conclude my discussion on these magnetic materials. From next turn we will discuss about the transformers, and I'm going to show you the assignment that I have uploaded on the website, on the Google Classroom. You have to submit that assignment on 5th of this month. Last working day is 17th of this month, so we have to take one more assignment and one mid-sem also. Okay, so be ready for that and submit this on 5th. And they are very simple questions. Up till now we have discussed about the DC current, right? And the transformers basically operate on AC. So what is the behavior of the BH curve, okay, when we apply alternating supplies? And you will see when we will study and make this assignment, you will understand there will be certain loop that will be forming, and that loop is basically known as the hysteresis loop. The area under this loop should be minimum, okay, so that the losses are minimum, and those losses are basically classified as hysteresis loss, That loss is basically classified as hysteresis loss, and there is another loss that is known as the eddy current loss. These two losses basically combine to form the iron losses. So you have to write a discussion on these two topics, these two questions. And there is this one question that I discussed earlier in the class, also in the earlier video. You have to solve this question as your assignment. Okay, so these are the only two questions that I am giving. So submit it on the date that I have given you, and beyond that I will be deducting 5 marks per day, and beyond 7th I will not be accepting any assignment or first assignment. Okay, thank you very much.